my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys. But if you practice, it will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
If I was going to grade myself, I'd probably grade myself at a B or a B minus. Clearly, we didn't get our end result. Our job is to go win it. We didn't get that done. I felt like, and this leads right into the other part of your question, I felt like we did a lot of things really, really well that I'm very proud of. I felt like as a head coach, I failed our team a little bit in terms of picking and choosing the places where we were going to have a relentless standard where anything less than it was going to be successful. So one of our big keys going into the season is we're going to have a standard that we will refuse to accept anything less in some facets of the game that are controllable. I think we're going to do a much better job with that.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
All right, we're starting out. I don't agree with Mark Pope. Jimmy, you allowed to disagree with Mark Pope? Is that part of the Constitution here in the state of Kentucky?
I think it depends who you ask, but I believe the legal answer is yes.
Okay, well, I don't care about anybody else except for you right now. So as long as you say yes, everybody else can go. I'm smiling. I'm kidding. He doesn't get a B. He gets higher. You know, nobody else in the history of basketball beat 8 top 15 teams. And I will still say this, and I will always, there's two things about Kentucky basketball I will always say. One, Cal's first recruiting class is the greatest recruiting class of all time. I don't say that because I'm a sportscaster in Lexington, Kentucky. What he did on a dime has never and probably will never be duplicated. And two, I will always believe, and I've said both these things many times, had Kentucky been healthy, no, I don't think they would have won a national championship. And maybe if they did, they would have shocked me. But had they been healthy, could they have beaten Tennessee and advanced further in the NCAA tournament? Yes. So if the only way Mark Pope is ever going to judge himself is whether or not he wins the national championship, Jimmy, might he get a couple of A's during his time here if it's a lengthy time period, which we hope? Maybe. But, Jimmy, I think he's being too tough on himself. I mean, I'm serious. And I'm not trying to kiss his you-know-what, but I don't think that's what it is. To put that roster together on a dime doing that. And what he did, sorry, Mark, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. By the way, that soundbite, and we're going to play others, are coming from Matt Norlinger and his podcast. And it's kind of interesting. I think they know each other for a long time. How long, I don't know, but there was a comfort zone when they were talking that was a little unusual. And he pushed him, Matt did, nicely, and got some answers, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to play a bunch of sound from that. I literally, Jimmy was trying to keep my eyes propped open with toothpicks. It was after midnight when I didn't do the whole thing. I did most of the whole thing. It was like an hour and 10 or something like that. And it was really good. It was really, really good. And I took notes and whatever. We got sound bites. And if I missed anything, I might listen to the rest tonight. I don't think I did, but you never know. And sometimes little things to me are important. So, man, he did better than that. He absolutely did better. Let me set up the show. My dear friend Cisco Bryant was scheduled at 12:30, and he can't do it. And you know, it's interesting. This has happened twice this week. And I don't think it's happened 5 times since I started the show. That somebody has backed out of the 12:30 slot the morning of. I've been really, really lucky. Cisco is a great friend, and things happen. You know, he's gracing me with his time. Every guest graces me with their time. I appreciate everyone. I really do. So I like to have at least 2 guests, and that's fine. And look, I'll just say I was listening to Tom Leach's show this morning, and he said, "Happy birthday to Terry Mills." And I went, wow. About 1,000 years ago, I did what I consider a wonderful family TV story, not on Cameron Mills, but on, you know, Terry, his lovely wife, and their family. Long time ago. I don't remember the last time I've talked to him. And since it's his birthday, and I had him on a list. I had this long list when I started this thing, and then I made a second list. I went through all my phone numbers, and I still haven't gotten to a lot of people on the list to ask them if they would give me time and be on the show. And there's so many people on this list who would be really good guests. And I think a lot will do it. And I'm slowly getting around to more and more people. Again, I'm so lucky with the guests that do the show. And so I text Cameron, and Cameron and I talked. I said, do you think your dad would want to do it? Out of respect to Terry, because we haven't talked in forever. Plus, I didn't have Terry's number. So he checked with Terry, and Terry's happy to do it. By the way, here's the tease, Jimmy. So he was a wonderful basketball player for Adolph Rupp. And if Cameron is listening, he will not disagree with me. Cameron's dad, Terry, was a much better athlete than Cameron. Cameron admits it wholeheartedly. Jimmy, let me tell you how good he was. Do you remember the good old days, as much as you follow football, that the Dallas Cowboys would take athletes from other sports and try to make them into football players even when they weren't?
Yeah, was that the story of Ed Too Tall Jones?
No. Ed Too Tall Jones played college football. Bob Hayes, Bullet Bob Hayes, was a track star. And they did it with a number of players. Well, they asked Terry Mills if he wants to play wide receiver. How about that? So, and he also, and I'm going to ask him to tell the story. He's going to be on about 1:15. I'm going to ask him to tell his famous story about Pete Maravich. I'll give you the little headline. He'll tell the story later. His telling will be much better. He goes against Pete Maravich. As a matter of fact, when I called him up today, I said, is this the oldest living basketball player to ever play against Pistol Pete Maravich? And he knew I was calling, by the way. And he goes, maybe. So we had a pretty good laugh. Well, anyway, he's guarding Pete, and I forgot what Pete had at the half. And you got to remember Rupp is the coach. And Terry told me at the time, this was part of the TV story I did, decades and decades and decades ago. And I mean decades and decades and decades ago. And he's telling me, hey, I thought I did a really good job on Maravich. I held him to blank. It was a lot of points. I held him to blank. At the end of the game, he was slightly underneath his average when he was averaging like 44, 45 points a game. Can you imagine if that had a 3-point shot when Pete Maravich played? By the way, somebody actually went through the book years ago and figured out he would have averaged over 60 points a game, 59, 60 points a game, if you can imagine it. Anyway, Terry told me, hey, I did a really good job. And guess who was fussing at him? Rupp. Who's that guy who's guarding my... Anyway, I'll ask Terry to tell the story. It's his birthday. So happy birthday. So, Jimmy, will you sing happy birthday with me to Terry at 1:15?
I can be the background vocals. I'll let you lead.
No. I think you have a better voice than I do.
It's feeling kind of scratchy today.
Okay, well.
1:15, I don't know.
You know, this is really a sad story. Until I was 13, I'm not kidding you, I had a great voice, solos and choirs and all kinds of stuff. And then one day I couldn't sing in the shower. Seriously, my aunt was a quasi-opera star. It's the truth. I don't really talk about this much. And my mom had a better voice. And then it looked like I was given the gift. My uncle had a great voice. And then all of a sudden, I'm 13 and a half years old. Jimmy, I can't sing. Me, not at all. I went from boom to boom. Anyway, not important. Neither here nor there. So I appreciate anybody who can sing. Also, our dear friend Jeff Drummond, who was very funny, texted me up and back the other day, and we talked about it slightly. He's a huge Steeler fan. He'll be joining us talking about Kentucky sports, and I want to see if I can get to be as funny on the radio as he was for the text. He really was funny. So Jeff has been a good guest for a long, long time. He'll be joining us at 12:45. Okay, I want to play a bunch of Pope, and this was really good. Information-wise, first of all, no question that Pope is comfortable with just about anybody. But you can feel that he's more comfortable with Matt Norlinger than he is with a lot of other people. And you could see his smile during the podcast. They have history together. And I did in the tease as to why was Mark Pope in Nampa, Idaho. And I know Nampa, Idaho really well because I did TV in Boise, and we go back there and stuff like that. It is the town next to Boise. And I don't know about today, but I know when I lived in Boise in the 70s doing television, there were more Mormons per capita in Idaho than there were in the land of Utah and BYU. Whether that's true today or not, I have no idea. I'm not going to bother looking it up. And so maybe that's why Pope's folks live in Nampa, but he got to spend a day and a half with his folks, and he had trouble with the planes and getting out there and all that kind of stuff. But he got to spend a day and a half. And this is so Pope. Even though he got delayed, he got to meet some really nice people in the airport. Isn't that, Mark? I mean, he's unbelievable. And one of the interesting things says, and we're going to go through some sound bites, that, kind of the best part of the job is also the toughest part of the job. And the toughest part of the job is, here's his quote. And he stole it from Abe Lincoln. I am now public property. That it's the greatest honor and one of the biggest challenges at Kentucky is that you're public property. And I got to tell you, that's a great quote, taking from Lincoln. Jimmy, I'm going to amaze you about this, but I was kind of a freak about Lincoln. Literally. I've read so many books about Lincoln. I was always fascinated by Lincoln. I was a history major in college, and I've done extra reading on Lincoln. I've listened to some books on Lincoln, all kinds of stuff. And when I first found this out, it's not that I didn't believe it, but I didn't believe it, even though I knew it was true based upon what was in some of these books. Do you know if you had a complaint, Jimmy, you could walk right into the Oval Office? You could walk right in. Can you imagine that today?
Yeah.
Try to
Not a
get to
chance.
You could walk in and talk to the president. I can't fathom that. And, you know, there were a lot of unhappy folks back then. There were a lot of unhappy folks that Lincoln was president. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I can't think of the name of the book, but there was a book about, I'll get off Lincoln in a second, but there was a book about Lincoln's train ride from his home in Illinois getting to Washington. And Jimmy, he wasn't supposed to make it. Literally, they attempted to assassinate him. And I think most people don't know it. I think the book is called 13 Days. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't remember the full name of the book, but it was absolutely unbelievable. And they literally snuck Lincoln into Washington, bypassed a scheduled trip through Baltimore where he was supposed to be assassinated, where they were very organized to take him out. Very organized, and at the last minute, when he didn't want to do it, they convinced Lincoln that he had to change his train plans, and they stuck him on another train, incognito, and the people that were waiting to assassinate him were waiting, but he got there earlier with another train. It's a true story. There's so much stuff about history that's just fascinating and different. It's a great book. Great book. I need to look it up for you if you like history. I mean, it was unbelievable. All right. All that because Mark Pope took a line from Abraham Lincoln. I still don't agree with his degrees of how he graded himself. I give him an A. Not an A+, an A. Putting that roster together as quickly as he's did, melting all those players together, having those guys who many did not have confidence as much as they wanted to play at this level, that they could play at this level, believing they could play at this level, the joy of that, how these guys in a short time period, so many will be friends for life, and had that team been healthy, I think they probably would have gone farther. I think they would have beat Tennessee. Again, I'm not saying they won the national championship, and I've said this part many, many, many times, but I think that was a better team than we'll ever give credit for, ever. How about if Jackson Robinson was healthy? How about if your point guard had two shoulders? How about if your backup point guard didn't break his foot? Seriously, be totally different. Totally different. Totally different. All right, let's continue with Pope. And Jimmy will go back to clip number 1, and he does a little reflection on year number 1 on Matt Norlinger's podcast.
The biggest thing is, man, my heart's full of gratitude in a really sincere sense. You think about how many days since I took the job, the fact that we had 27,000 people show up for my press conference, which didn't really have much to do with me, but it had to do with what BBN is. Like, forever in my life, I'll be grateful for all those people that trekked from all over, from wherever, stood in line forever to come here. It's hard to express. It's hard to explain how grateful I am for that. And then I think about, from day one, that being the environment here, and then I think about these graduated super seniors and what they did for us last year, and the ride that they took us all on. And
what a ride! What a ride. Okay. Everybody could probably come up with a couple of different games that were the biggest wins. And oftentimes it's difficult for a coach to dissect one or the other. But Matt Norlinger of CBS Sports asked Pope, the biggest win, clip number 3.
The Duke win so early in the season for my guys to get a chance to go prove that they were not mid-major super senior guys, but they were legitimately here to become a part of this incredible Kentucky legacy of these great teams throughout the generations. I think that was really important. I think that was really important. I have a ton of, just because of how much respect I have for Mark Few, I'm really grateful for the Gonzaga comeback. We kind of lost both of our point guards in that game, and Jackson Robinson, who I've been with for 3 years, kind of stepped up and led us to victory, running the point in the last 12 minutes of that game.
The friendship between Few and Pope is very, very strong, and I can see how that'd be extra special. The third game I would toss in there, and to me, it would be the Florida game. Partly because I was there at Rupp. Partly. And the atmosphere was spectacular. And you know what? I didn't look it up, but Jimmy, wasn't it 106 to 100? And please be kind enough to look it up and tell me if I am wrong, just off my memory. But, that was a day where Rupp was rocking like the really good old days. Was I right?
Yeah, 106, 100.
Every now and then my memory still holds out, doesn't it? Kind of proud of that. Come on, dude, 72 years old, and I remember the score of a game. I think that really is more of the joy of watching that game. That's one of the great things doing what you do when you're in an arena. It's like, another game that comes to mind, just boom, popping, when Anthony Davis blocked the North Carolina shot at the end of the game when it's right where I happened to be sitting to win the game, and he was flying through the air with the greatest of ease. It was just, as he's going for the block, I'm going, basically, what's he doing? Like, he can't get that. Well, okay, maybe he can upset the shooter. That was the best I thought he could do. And when he blocked that shot, this would be a great thing. I don't think I'd have to do a lot of research, and I'm not going to do that part of it. But to take the 10 greatest moments or plays during my exposure to Kentucky basketball going back to the early 80s, that has to be one of the top 10, and I'm not sure one of the top 5. I know that didn't win a championship or something like that, but Jimmy, I'm sure you've seen the play. He was flying through the air with the greatest of ease. How a human being could leap like that with the quickness like that and the anticipation like that. I mean, it was unbelievable. Anyway, that Florida game, if you want to say Duke is number one, if you want to say beating Mark Few, which is basically a road game out west, right? That was a road game. I don't care what anybody says. Or Florida, all good. I don't think there's a right or wrong in that kind of stuff. A little tidbit, which I found fascinating, and I don't know how many scrimmages that they did with this summer stuff or how they did this. I don't know, but they are taking stats. And like a lot of coaches, they take stats on everything. That Garrison this summer, there were 2 things that he mentioned in this podcast stat-wise that really stuck out. That Garrison this summer had the best assist to turnover ratio on the team. That was a wow. The other one that really stuck out, and I said this when he was recruited, Jalen Lowe, that he would be a much better 3-point shooter here this year, and others have jumped on that, than he was at Pitt. He was terrible at Pitt, and there were 2 reasons. One, he was hurt, and one, he took a lot of bad shots because it was a bad team. And one of the things he's doing is learning what a good shot is, and he has, and he's got better teammates around him. But he shot almost 42% this summer here when they played whatever they played, scrimmages, games, whatever. That's remarkable. And did I predict he would shoot 42%? I did not. Did I say I couldn't see him shooting less than 36%? I've said that many times, by the way. And I use that number because if he shoots 36% compared to what he did at Pitt, it'd be good enough. I didn't think he couldn't shoot better, but that to me was a floor point when I said it way back when of what he needed to do. Now, I'm not going to predict he's going to shoot 42%. I am going to predict all these comments, that'll happen about how the kid can't shoot. I think it's absurd. I think it's ludicrous. I think those numbers are very legitimate, obviously a bit, but circumstances are different. They're just different. And I'm good with that. This is a great comment. Clip number 4 from Pope with Matt Norlinger. And you can see this, you can picture it. And I don't know how much he's going to play, but Trent Noah's going to play this year. And I was very careful about saying this when I first said it. I'm going to say it again carefully, too, that in the offseason that, Pope wanted him to put on like 20 pounds. And I'm just saying I don't think he'll put on 20 pounds, but I didn't want anybody to get the feeling I thought he was fat. Not at all. But bodies change when you're young, and I thought he would streamline his body. And he has. He absolutely has, and he's never going to be the world's greatest athlete, but I expect him to be much better athletically this year just because of working on his body and getting a year older and having the food and training you have here that, who has in high school? Like nobody. And so that has happened. And the kid is a great shooter and a hard worker. But this is really cool. This is clip number 4. This is Mark Pope talking about Trent Noah and the change from last summer. Now, think about this. He was running around with a chicken without his head. He had no idea what was going on. What freshman does? And plus, he's in Gaga land. Oh, my gosh. I grew up dreaming to play for Kentucky, and they didn't want me, and I'm going somewhere else, and now I'm coming here. Are you kidding? I mean, try to think about what he was like the first time he stepped on the court. His head had to be spinning. And I mean this with loving kindness and a beautiful way. It was kind of like, I'm here. Do I belong here? I can't say anything. Oh, this is tough. I don't care. And that's one of the reasons why he was one of a number of kids as a freshman, just busted their tail. They were so appreciative of being here that every day was joyful going to practice. That's what it is for Trent Noah. This is a great comment from Pope talking about Trent Noah from last summer to this summer.
Last year was a disaster his first few weeks of the summer, maybe a lot of the summer in terms of understanding what we were trying to do. And then 1 year later, he walks in and he's like the most veteran seasoned voice on the floor and is like, guys, just everyone relax. Let me explain what coach is saying right now. It's actually so fun to watch from summer to summer and season to season, watch these guys grow.
How cool is that? Jimmy, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm not saying that's a 10 comment, but walking around like you're in Gaga land to now as a sophomore, being a vocal leader that extreme, how can you not be happy for the kid? And he seems like the world's greatest kid, right?
Yeah, and as a coach, that's exactly what you want to see. Like Mark Pope and the coaching staff, they have to feel like the groundwork was set for Trent Noah, the person, coming into Kentucky, because you have to have that just to be able to make it through the freshman year. And then they continued that on to this year, and to see that huge jump, that's got to just be the best feeling. And you assume it's going to keep growing.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I really like, because I said it towards the end of the season, that a couple things about Chandler. One, he was going to get it much bigger and stronger, that kind of stuff. He was 2 years away from the game, and he wasn't in the kind of shape he'd be this year because of all that kind of stuff. That was obvious. Everyone said it. But one of the keys that I said about Chandler that I thought he would be better at was literally being able to improve his handle, to use the dribble, to get more of where he needed to go on the court, because he can jump. And one of the things I looked at in his high school tape, he can jump and he can create space for himself because he's really, really a good athlete. And Colin Chandler is going to be a really good basketball player next year. This is a comment, clip number 5. Pope, listen to what he says on Colin Chandler.
He's made an incredible jump. One of the things that he was focused on this summer was his ball handling, his ability to get wherever he wanted to get and not have handling the ball slow him down from getting there. And he worked incredibly hard at it this entire summer. He's made massive progress. Like it's really stunning. I think he's finishing the ball better. He's another guy that grew immensely defensively during the season last year, and he's carried that over. He's got a chance. He's got a chance to be an elite level defender. He's playing so hard for us right now. He is. Of all my guys, I feel like he can't breathe if there's not something on the line. Like, he is the most competitive. I mean, he just can't wait to get to the next competition. It doesn't matter what it is, by the way. It can be anything. If we're guessing if we're going to see a blue call or a red call when we turn the corner, he wants to be in that, and so he's going to have a huge impact on the team this year.
I got to tell you, guys like that play in the NBA. Guys like that play pro sports. You can mark it down. He's going to play in the NBA. You're going to think I'm silly. I don't care. He's going to play in the NBA. There is a difference in the veracity of your intensity that often makes a difference between no pro and a good pro. One of the greatest players of all time was John Hondo Havlicek. And I'm trying to remember which superstar said, I think it was Bill Russell, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, that John Hondo Havlicek was the greatest player he ever saw. And I thought he was one of the greatest players I've ever seen. I have never watched a professional basketball player play that hard, non-stop, all the time. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever from Ohio State. Never, ever, ever, ever. I don't know why I haven't mentioned really much on the show before, but maybe because you have to be old like me to know who he is. And I'm not saying to get people from Ohio State say, oh, that was really nice. You said an Ohio State guy. I love watching him play. I know what I would do. Mark Pope, you want a tip from me? You think Mark Pope wants to get a tip from me, Jimmy? What do you think?
He's probably one that he's open to a tip from anybody.
Even me?
Yeah, that's how he. Now, is he going to listen to the tip? No.
No.
But he'll give you the time of day.
It's a great idea, if I must say so myself, off the cuff. If you could get enough old clips, which is difficult back then, and it's wide angles and stuff like that. I have never, and let me repeat this, I have never seen a basketball player cut harder running around screens to get open ever do a better job than John Hondo Havlicek. And you know who's number 2 in my mind? Some guy named Curry. So the second part I've said before. I think I said it during the year, what I've done with Kobe and stuff like that, Kobe Bryant, that I would put clips together of Seth Curry when he's running hard, going around screens, and I'd have the video guy put it together, and I would show it to Kobe. Because if Kobe would run around screens the way Seth Curry did, his brother, excuse me, did I just say that? If he'd run around screens like Curry, he'd have been a first rounder. Am I calling him lazy? No, it's a different level of your game. And I'm not saying he wasn't in shape. You have to be in spectacular shape. Curry goes end-to-end during the summertime, dribbling the ball at spades, that as fast as he can in the game, and pulls up and pops. It's one of the tons of things he does in the summertime. His workouts are legendary. I don't know if he's going to play when he's 42 years old, but if he keeps on working like this and the body holds up, it wouldn't shock me if he does. But I would put those clips together because oftentimes guys think that they run through screens and they're really not. And Jimmy, I bet you remember, because I complained about this a lot. One of the things I was disappointed in Kentucky last year is how they didn't run harder around screens to get open. I really like the picking system that Pope attempted to do. And I think, and I mentioned this to Pope, and he just said when he was on the show that time, yeah, we need to do a better job of, but he, of course, would not say they didn't do a good job. I said they didn't do a good job, but they did not do a good job screening. I thought it was a terrible screening team, which I said many, many times. I don't get why they weren't a better screening team. And I bet they're a much better screening team this year, partly because they have better athletes, partly because Pope said they're going to emphasize it more. That'll be one of the reasons why I think the three-point shooting will improve, that there'll be better spacing for these kids, partly because they're better athletes, partly because I think, not that they were in shape, they're going to be in better shape this year. I really believe it. And that's not a shot against last year's kids. I think it's different things. But running around screens for spacing is one of those quiet things about basketball that I love, and I watch teams do it. Oh, I can't think of the kid's name. Short white guy played for Syracuse quite a long time ago. I think that was the year where Syracuse won like 5 games in 5 days to win the Big East championship. And he had one of the great, if you remember the name, Jimmy, probably not. It's all good. Syracuse had one of the great runs of all time in the Big East tournament. and he was the star, and he was getting the ball all the time, and he was taking all the shots, and I couldn't believe how hard he sprinted. I'd actually put him number 3 as the best running around screens that I've ever seen. Short guy.
We've looked him up before. The guy that comes to mind is Devendor that played for him, but I don't think it's him when I looked him up. He was the one that played in that 8 overtime game with him.
If you get the name right, I'm going to go, oh, yeah, that's right. Anyway, he'd be number 3 in my list. It's a little thing, but when you watch basketball, look how hard guys cut. Because if you really cut hard and your screen's pretty good, the spacing can be spectacular as far as what? Getting to be open. And the more open you are, guess what? It is how much easier to hit your shot. It's really that simple. We have some more bites to play from Pope. And then I don't know if we're going to get through them all before Jeff Drummond joins us at 12:45. And Terry Mills, really looking forward to saying hi to Terry Mills. That will be at 1:15. I tell you what's right now, our friends at Quantrill Cadillac, our friends at Quantrill Subaru, our friends at Quantrill Volvo. But in particular today, we're talking about Quantrill Subaru. They are a special, special group. It is interesting what they've got going on. We've owned 2 cars from them. To me, I have to be brutally honest. I've lost the copy that I want to do from the Subaru. I will do an extra spot for Quantrill coming up the next commercial break because it's something they specifically want me to do. So this is a freebie, my fault. Okay, it's a freebie for Quantrill and their auto group. They are special. We have 2 cars from them. Computers are great. It's in another file. Anyway, the Quantrill Auto Group. Check them out. We'll talk about the Subaru coming up in the next break. Jeff Drummond coming up at 12:45. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrill Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrill Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrill family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
It's summertime, and that means it's time to hit the road. Whether you're heading across town or across the state, going on a picnic, to a baseball game, or driving to the lake, stop by, fill up, and stock up at Clark's Pump and Shop, your road trip headquarters.
Clark's Pump and Shop has everything you need to get you to your summertime destination, including assorted Jolly Rancher or Twizzler peg bags, 2 for $5, and Jack Link's 2-ounce steak strip or extra large beef and cheese, 2 for $6.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Jeff Drummond coming up in about 5 minutes or so. Terry Mills, excited to talk to Terry. Played for Rupp 1,000 years ago. He will join us at 1:15. And we were talking about Pope and some wonderful sound bites that were part of Matt Norlinger's podcast. And I'm saving you the time of listening for, I think it was an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. And I went through most of it. I'm probably going to finish it tonight, but there was so much good stuff. Jimmy, it was well after midnight. I don't know when you saw the email I sent it to you at, but you did notice it was after midnight, right?
I did. I did not see it till about 4:45 this morning.
What time do you get up in the morning? Because you have to do so many things in the morning for many LM stations.
Yeah, 4:15.
You get up 4:15?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'd go to the gym before I come into work here.
Hold it.
If not, I will never go.
You go work out before you go into LM. What time are you in the LM building?
6 o'clock. I go at 5 every morning.
And how long do you work out for?
About 45 minutes to an hour.
I'm really impressed, dude. So when you come in, you don't need coffee. You're wide awake.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. And I notice the days I don't go, I feel sluggish throughout the whole day.
Oh, I can easily believe that.
Yeah.
See, I have a list of things that I'm trying to do still to get better and better. And I really struggle with working out in the morning. Really struggle. I'm because I work out so much, and you have to understand, Jimmy, you don't know the feeling of like being 72 and working out too much. Okay. And I really need to work out in the morning. I meditate every day in the morning, meditate at night. I'm not doing it twice a day, but I want to meditate, get up, grab a cup of coffee, and go to the Y. And I'm struggling. So what do you just force yourself to do it? I'm sore basically every day and see like I'm going to go work out today after the show, right? Well, I'm almost not sore anymore, if that makes any sense. Yeah. As the day goes on, my soreness goes away. When I was your age, I didn't have that problem. I didn't know what the hell sore was on a daily basis. Seriously, do you know what sore is every day?
Yes.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Just not my whole body, just my knee has always given me problems. My knee hurts. Now that I'm getting older, my lower back is just kind of constantly tight.
Yeah, but you have a legitimate excuse. You played football.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like I'm afraid of what I'm going to feel like when I turn 50.
You're 34, right?
Yeah, just turned 34.
Just turned 34. When was your birthday?
In May. Well, I guess not just. But
May what?
6th. Happy birthday, Willie Mays.
Is that Willie Mays' birthday too?
Yeah.
I'm going to put it in my calendar. If you have the misfortune of working with me next May 6th, I will sing happy birthday. Something that hopefully doesn't ruin your birthday, right?
It wouldn't ruin it. That would definitely be the highlight of the day, though.
You know what? Every time you've lied to me, I wish your nose would grow. And you know what? Still wouldn't top me, would you? Still wouldn't top me. Close. Let's grab another soundbite or two, and then we'll get Jeff Drummond to join us. We were playing a bunch of sound from Pope and Matt Norlinger's podcast. And I mentioned earlier in the monologue that Pope had said that Jalen Lowe, when they played 5-on-5, and I don't know how often they played on 5-on-5. I don't know how many hours. I don't know if it was every time during practice. There's a lot of stuff that went on in the summer. We just don't know. But anyway, they kept stats when they played 5-on-5, and he was tops on the team with just under 42% shooting threes. And everybody should stop worrying about the kid shooting threes this year. I mean, that's just me. So here's Jalen Lowe and a comment of Pope about what kind of point guard he is. It's a long soundbite, but I think it's really good.
He's a lightning quick, get wherever he wants on the court leader, a vocal leader. He's not. He actually. This is going to come off wrong. So will you edit this in post production? But he actually has the beautiful skill of not being overly concerned with whether people like him in any given moment. And that's actually a really important skill as a leader. Sometimes you got to be a truth teller. Sometimes you got to hold people accountable. And for those of us that are like born pleasers, sometimes that can be really challenging. There's no fear in him to be like, nah, this is how it is. And if you like it or don't like it, it doesn't matter. It's just the truth. He stepped up as a great leader for us. And he's an elite level playmaker off ball screens. I mean, he can fling the ball everywhere on the court, make every pass. I think he was our leading 3-point field goal percentage shooter in 5-on-5 competition this summer at almost 42.5%, just right under 42%. And so we're incredibly excited about what we believe he's going to do in terms of efficiency this summer. We think he's going to take a massive jump. He's been special for us.
I got to tell you, this is not a little thing. every coach emphasizes, okay, everything. Let's just leave it at that. And certain coaches emphasize some things more than another. Pope is big on ball screens. And Jimmy, I'm telling you, if he's an elite level player passing out of ball screens, that's going to help this team and himself, not a little, but tremendously. And I mean tremendously. We're going to play one more bite. It's long. It's worth it on JQ. And you'll hear in here that Matt Norlinger nicely pushes Pope to get more of an answer. And I really like it because everybody wants to know with this young man with his bad knee, when is he coming back? And it's pretty obvious they're doing everything smart. They're not rushing him, but he's now at a different point in time. And you're going to hear Pope talk about basically the next 3 weeks are big because they're really getting him into, because he's ready for it, much heavier weights. You will not get, if you're looking for it, you're not going to get an exact date. I don't think there's going to be an exact date until Pope comes out in the press conference. Yeah, we think he's going to play next week. Until something like that, you shouldn't look for it because I'd be shocked if it's going to happen. I don't even think Pope will say, even if they know, he's probably going to play in 2 weeks. I'm going to guess he won't say that because if there's a setback or something, then people say, well, what happened? Why did he do it? Blah, 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 blah. So they've played it close to the vest. And I got to tell you, if I'm Pope, I'd play it close to the vest too. If 10 days before they had a game where they said he could play, I still wouldn't say it. I wouldn't want to lie to the media, but I'd say, let's see. Let's see, because setbacks happen all the time. And then you get people ticked off or what happened. He's worried. It's just not worth the hassle in today's world. Not suggesting lying, but I think at a certain time you got to do certain things to protect the kid and protect yourself from getting 8,000 more questions. Exaggeration, but I think you know what I mean. So this starts with JQ with chess. It gets into his failing his driver's test and how he failed it, which is kind of incredible. And obviously, this kid plays and they got a shot at the national championship. It's really that simple. He's that good defensively. He's a top 10 pick waiting to happen if he's healthy. It's pretty obvious. Everybody says he's a top 10 pick waiting to happen. So anyway, here is Pope start talking about chess, but it's all about JQ.
I am a very amateur chess. I don't really know much about the game. I know how to move the pieces, and I'm fascinated by playing. And usually, the first player that I've ever played against that's given me a real challenge is Colin Chandler. I happen to be lucky up 3-2 on Colin, okay? And then we've taken a hiatus because it started to get there started to be some emotion involved. JQ is up 1-5 on me. He is a savant. I kid you not. And it's driving me crazy. I can't even look at him. I'm so upset with him. Okay. So we're coming from the place of this being one of the smartest, spatially, being able to have a lot of calculations in his head all at the same time. With that said, he is not a talented driver.
Okay.
He's not, okay? So we knew this because we had a team golf outing, and he was driving the golf cart, and I get a call from Coach Fox. He's like, we have got to get JQ out of the driver's seat because Coach Fox was in the passenger seat. He was afraid for his life, okay? This is a veteran. Coach is as veteran as they come. So then we did this whole thing as a team. We're like, all right, this is what we're doing. We're going to send him off. He's going to take his test the next day in Florida, the last day. So Thursday after our workout, we went over to the parking lot of the football stadium, and we had done this whole course of cones so that he could practice driving through. He made it through. Nobody died, which was a huge win, okay? He did have a police officer in the passenger seat kind of helping give him driving tips. So when he goes down to Florida and there was all kind of paperwork issues, he finally took the test. He finally eventually took the test. Long story, I'm going to leave out a lot of details.
Yeah.
And was doing great until he backed straight over a cone and they failed him.
How about the ribbing he's going to take from that? How about that? Pretty strong? Pretty strong? Here's the other thing. Jimmy, would you please be kind enough to bring in Jeff Drummond? How about this? How many people for working on your driving skills get a cop to sit with you for tips? There's an advantage. I see Jeff's picture, but I don't see his face. And I'm curious that there's no cat on your head. Jeff Drummond, before I introduce you properly, let me ask you, when you were practicing driving for your test, being the big celebrity that you were back then, were you able to have a cop sit with you while you were practice driving to give you tips?
No, I don't believe so, but I failed my first one and I remember it to this day. And the police officer who failed me, Officer Bass.
You remember the name?
Absolutely. And I know exactly where I was in that place and time. It was such a formative issue in my early life that I laugh about it now, but I was crushed when, you're that age and you want to get your driver's license. You
remember the Richie Havens song, Freedom, Freedom.
Exactly.
Woodstock. I saw him perform that live one time in the SEC tournament when Kentucky was, remember they used to play in Memphis a lot? And I don't remember Rob Lynch, who was my photographer back then, great photographer. And we were going late to get dinner, and somebody told us the catfish was really good at this place. And I got the biggest piece of catfish I'd ever seen. That and fries with all the tartar sauce you want. It was like $10. This is like Memphis. And then we had a couple beers on the side. We walk in, we're hearing music, and I'm going, what? That's Richie Havens. So we ate dinner, and it's such a small place, and then we went into the next room, but you could hear it the whole time. By the time the night was over, we're sitting in the first row, and he played Freedom, Freedom, and banged on those drums, and he was sweating like crazy, and it was pouring out, and he was so good. He was so good. I don't know why I thought that when you said, yeah, the freedom when you can drive. The truth is, did you deserve to get failed, or did that officer, was he too tough on you?
I maintain to this day, it was not fair. And I had a good, but you had this deal where you came out, Alan, I failed it 100 feet from where I started the engine.
Wait a second. Hold it. Stop. Jeff, how could you possibly do that?
You pull up when you start, and there is a stop sign, and people from Richmond would know, but this probably doesn't help anybody else. You look off to the left, and there's like Big Hill Avenue. They call it the Hill in Richmond. And she says, take a right. So I'm at the stop sign, and I freeze because there's a car coming down that hill. And Alan, it's so far, 5 cars could have turned right. And in my mind, I'm saying, if I sit here too long, is she going to dock me for that? I'm supposed to drive like a normal human being, right?
I'm not laughing at you, Jeff. I'm laughing at, I understand the mindset. Please go ahead.
So I make the turn right. I've got, you could have taken 2 semi trucks and turned right. And she goes, that's it. She says, you're going to have to come back another time.
Because you took too long.
No, because I actually went. And she said someone was coming down in that direction. I said, that was like half a mile away. So it doesn't matter. You're going to have to come back and take, and you couldn't take it again. The rule was like for a month or so.
Oh, your friends are now driving and you can't, and you're getting ribbed. And what happened? Oh, were you called names because you didn't pass the test?
You felt like the lowest of the low.
It's
completely
funny.
Incompetent.
Those hormones when you're 17, 18, or 16 years old about something that goes wrong, how you can laugh at it now. But back then, did you ever see that police officer again?
No, I don't think I ever did, but I still remember the name to this day. I
would assume, since you're not a spring chicken either, though you're much younger than me, that she's probably retired.
I would say so.
Okay, if suppose you went out to get a burger, you and your wife, you went out to burger, and boom, she's right in front of you. What would you say something, or would you just kind of smirk and walk away?
I would have to say pull out my driver's license or my record for driving, and you would be proud.
Would you do that? Seriously? Jeff Drummond, that's great. Okay, introduce yourself, and who do you work for, and what do you do, and how does everybody get to you? Give yourself a little plug that your mother would like.
Well, on social media, every one of them, it's JDrum UK. And that's the best way to find my work right now because we've transitioned to the On3 network. I'm not completely sure what the address is for the website right now, but if you Google Cats Illustrated, it'll take you there to the new location with On3.
And anybody watching on our YouTube channel, ESPN Sports Radio 1300 AM, can see that you're wearing an EKU hat. Nice EKU hat, by the way.
Yeah, look at that.
I like the brim. Is that new?
This is old school. I had a friend get this for me a few months ago. They were having some kind of fundraising drive or something, and you can't find this one anywhere like in the stores. They have that new EKU logo. They use the big E and sometimes an EKU that looks a little bit different, but this is the one from the glory days.
See, I'll tell you why you confused me. I thought initially it was an old time hat, but the brim is so good and so tight, it looked like a new hat. So I was really confused.
It's a new one of an old hat. And this is when I was growing up and sneaking into games in the back of the ambulance to see kids.
Oh, you did. Okay, I didn't have to do that, but I heard stories about that. So the ambulance was across the field on the other side where they wanted photographers to go shoot. And apparently I, of course, never went up there. Okay. I did go up to the press box if I was hungry. And the walk up, you lost 3 pounds, you're out of breath. And they had a really nice little spread there. And you'd eat so much, you had trouble going back downstairs. But the walk up was just.
That was as good a workout as you could get back then.
For a press box. So I had heard people would sneak in by the ambulance. So you did that too.
My one of my best friends' grandfather was running the ambulance service over there. They were responsible for game day, emergency services, and we'd hop in the back of that and ride in. We were down there on the field. And of course, I knew a lot of my friends had dads coaching on that staff. So they let me hang out on the sideline.
That's cool.
So that was my first love. Was
that's really cool.
As far as college sports go, EKU was.
Do you owe them a couple $100 for all the games you snuck in?
Probably so.
Okay. All good. All right, Jeff, I've been playing sound, and I'm assuming you probably listened to it. Pope was with Matt Norlinger, and he was very good with some stuff. I thought it was interesting that Jalen Lowe, I didn't think he would do this, but I have said I thought he would shoot at least 36% next year. But in their 5-on-5s, when they took stats, that he was their best shooter, shooting a little under 42%. And when I said immediately, when he was coming here, I never watched the Pitt game. I had chances to. I thought Pitt sucked, and I watched so much basketball that I would just pass on a Pitt game. I don't think their coach is very good. I didn't really like their talent. I knew who Lowe was. I would never think about him coming here, but Pitt doesn't interest me. And matter of fact, I covered Pitt basketball when they were really good, and Cal was an assistant coach there, and they were fun to cover. But, if a team stinks and they're playing against somebody else, I watched so much basketball, it just didn't interest me. Anyway, he was hurt, and he took too many bad shots, all correctable. But, his dad has been in the game forever, AAU. The kid's had the ball in his hand since he's like 3 years old or something like that. I love that they got him, and there's been too much negative talk about his shooting. I'm not worried about his shooting, but I'm a little surprised, pleasantly surprised, he shot almost 42% on the 5-on-5s. That's ridiculously good.
Yeah, it tells me he's feeling good about himself, and I think there's a certain amount of pressure that may be off his shoulders in coming to Kentucky, it's usually the other way around. You come to Kentucky and maybe pick up a little extra pressure because of the expectations. But I think the kind of talent that Mark Pope has put around him and the fact that there's an actual structured system. If you watch those Pitt games, it didn't look like they were running anything. They were just giving him the ball and saying, go do something. And sometimes it looked really bad because of that. It reminded me of a few instances along the way where Cal's teams, Cal would just expect a guy, go make something happen off the bounce. And if you're not a great shooter and you don't have a lot of teammates around you that you can dish the ball off to, your percentage is probably going to take a hit. So I look at it as just a big positive of how comfortable he is in this system really early and with the guys who are around him.
I don't believe there are many open spots. There'll be some adjustments. To me, this is no different from an NFL team. You get, a couple preseason games in, whatever they're putting out for their 1s and 2s and stuff like that. They know who's going to make the team. Maybe at the end. I did the Bengals for 14 years as host of the radio network. And, coaches always say, this is our last opportunity, the last preseason game. And you're in the broadcast with And fans in the stands are, and they're basically showing up because they like to go to an NFL game. They know there's nothing there. They want to, party in the parking lot with their friends and have a couple of beers and stuff like that. But preseason game football sucks. And especially with all the scrimmages going on in pro football, they've made these decisions. They're having another scrimmage tomorrow, and I would be shocked whether they admit it or not if there are many changes in the ones and twos after tomorrow. And I think they basically already have it set. Would you agree, Jeff Drummond?
I think you're mostly spot on.
Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong.
The only place I'm interested in right now, well, I'm interested in all of them, but I think that wide receiver group probably has 4 or 5 guys who could move around up and down. I think there are 2, Macklin and Gilmore, who are probably you can count on them for being starters when they come out. And typically in this offense, you come out with 3 wide receivers. So I think that third guy who's going to line up with them, and then the depth behind them, there's still a lot of competition going on there from what I understand.
Okay, and I buy that as the one position, and I happen to agree with you. But I also think some of the young kids, the 2 freshmen in particular, Miller and the kid from Boyle County, I'm going blank. Quisenberry, thank you so much. Even if they think they should start now, I'm going to guess they'll ease them in, and that's when, after they make a couple catches, they'll move up. So, no, I agree with you. There's some movement. I'll be surprised if one of the 2 freshmen start because I think they're less apt to start freshmen. And I agree with that, and that's probably because the hint is that they're really not sticking out as much as they would want. And you didn't mention the kid from Alabama, by the way, Love, which surprises me a little bit.
Well, I think I'm putting him there with Stellato from Clemson. I think that's going to be the battle for that third spot.
Really? You don't think Law will automatically be a starter? I'm a little surprised to hear you say that.
He's got the talent to do that, but they're still talking about him honing his route running. And that's kind of code when you hear that from the coaches. They've made comments like he's great with the ball in his hands, needs to work on route running. So that tells me that he needs to get a little bit more precise with what he's doing. And we've heard really good things about Stellato, and even seen the 2 practices we got to watch. He looked like that guy that can work the middle of the field, the short stuff across the middle. So I do think it's a battle there with those 2.
Okay, so if Law had Stellato's discipline, would that be a hell of a player?
Yes, I believe so, because Law, when you go stand next to him, that's one physically impressive kid.
Wouldn't you agree with me that was Law's problem in Alabama?
I would say so. I haven't heard it put that exact way. I always assumed that there was just way too much talent down there anyway, that he got covered up by the constant recruiting over, with 4 and 5-star guys that they have in that system. But more than likely, I think what you say is probably the biggest thing that kept him from getting more snaps there.
Do you think they might play more double tight ends this year because they really will want to run the ball more, and they might want to protect their right tackle more than their left tackle?
Yeah, and you've got a guy like Caddis who's really good in line and gives you that extra protection and blocking. And Willie Rodriguez is a guy who you can make an argument he's one of your best receivers on the team with the plays he's made. I don't know if you've seen some of those clips, Alan, but
I have.
This kid looks like,
let's put it this way. If the clip is out there, I'm searching for it and watching it. They're not inviting me to practice every day.
I don't want to put too much expectation on him, but with his body and his athleticism, he looks like he's trending towards a future NFL guy.
I buy that. Can I give you a name?
Sure.
Boyer. Kid who transferred from Illinois.
Big target.
And he was brought here for the obvious at Illinois. Their coach is a punch-you-in-the-mouth coach who likes huge tight ends who block. I'm told, I hope it's okay me saying his name, Jeff Picoro told me that he catches the ball much better than anybody thought that they thought he was coming here, and they were happy to have him, obviously, as a blocking tight end. Well, they've discovered, because it's not like he was catching 100 balls at Illinois, as you know. It's not what they like, Brett Bielema likes to do there. But apparently catches the ball better even the coaches thought. How about that?
Yeah, I was a little surprised myself because one of those first practices we got to watch, he dropped a couple. And I was like, oh, this might be a block-only situation. When they put him in, it could key the opponent that they're not looking for a pass in this situation. But all the reports since then, and I know Pick has got a chance to see a little bit more than we have, that he might be a little bit more of a passing weapon than we realized.
I didn't see him the day the media was invited because I didn't stay a long time because it was bothering my eye. So like the first afternoon, I was really out in the sun, even though I was wearing glasses and a hat and stuff like that. And I just said, no, I'm here. I got to leave. It wasn't in pain, but it was just, I was not comfortable. And so I didn't get to see him. And he wasn't in my top 5 of the list anyway. I just got to be honest. Mm-hmm. He's listed, as you know, as 6'6" and 265. Have you seen him? And is that legitimate, or is he bigger? That's a big boy, 6'6" and 265. That sounds like a light offensive guard.
Yeah, you would even, being up close and around him, you would think he might be taller than 6'6".
Really?
He could be a shade taller than that, but he is a load. If you ever needed like a goal line package or, an extra guy on the end of the line who is essentially almost like having another tackle out there, he'd be a good candidate for it.
Interesting. Well, because Pick told me that, I'm just putting that name in the back of my head. He's from Chicago. So, for him to transfer from Illinois to come here, I initially thought that was interesting. But if he can catch the ball better, I hear also that the tight ends might be better this year, and that the tight end coach, is a sharp coach, and that the tight ends have learned a great deal with Sharp as their coach. Have you heard the same thing?
Don't make me get my hopes up, Alan. After 20 years of actually, it may be, it's about 18. When was Jacob Tammy last here? Around 2007?
I'm thinking 07.
And about every year since then, I've been so excited about the tight ends in the preseason, only to have Lucy pull that ball away when the season came. Vince Marrow would convince you there were 6 NFL tight ends on the roster, and then lo and behold, the season kicks off, and they don't even target these guys.
Jeff Drummond kind enough to join us. Well, Vince is a hell of a salesman. Okay, we all know that. He's a hell of a salesman, and I think he sold us on some stuff. And guess what? You're like me, and there are many others like you and me. I bought it, and I would be screaming just like many, many, many others. One of the tight ends going to catch the ball. They have such a great tight end room. Why don't they catch the ball? And if your quarterback isn't that good at finding a secondary, third receiver, dump the damn ball off to get 6 yards or something like that. And it's not like all these tight ends were slow. I mean, egregious is not, I can think of a word I can't use because Jimmy would have to hit a button. Egregious is not strong enough for me to talk about the hype we all have heard in the media and in the public about the quality of tight ends. I'll go one step further. And I'm not here to dump on Vince because he's not here, because he did a lot of wonderful things at Kentucky, and a lot of things were just hype. And that's just the way it is. But he did a lot of wonderful things at Kentucky. I just think the tight ends have drastically underachieved. And I'll go one more. Is it possible that a couple of tight ends, I don't want to say it too loud because somebody will think I'm ripping Vince, which I'm not. Different people have different strengths, and sales was his big strength, even though he played tight end. Did you hear my question?
Parts of it.
Seriously, only with my voice? Okay. So no, I'll say it a little louder.
I think I smell what you're cooking.
Well, yeah, okay. What I basically said, is it possible that there were some tight ends, not many, okay? There were a few tight ends that might have been good enough to make the NFL, that if they had better coaching, might have made the NFL. I'll just stay straight out asking you a question, okay? I thought you could hear me.
I think a little bit better technical coaching there and a little bit better scheme could have helped in both situations.
Are you saying yes, or you're dancing for me now here? Are you dancing, Jeff?
I'm saying yes because I think it's fair for us to say yes because we heard that hype year after year after year after year, and it never happened. If you look across any level of football, the really good offensive teams are all using their tight ends, and a lot of them are using them as the primary weapon in their offense. And Kentucky hasn't found a way to do that for 18 years now.
I've always been surprised, seriously now, that they didn't play more 2 tight end sets, basically because Stoops likes to run the ball. And I've always been baffled by that. And they really weren't getting the ball to the wide receivers anyway. So you might as well have another blocker in there to help facilitate a hole for a runner. And I didn't play the game, but it just never made any sense to me. I'm not saying not have another wide out in the field all the time. I'm not saying that. And they have packages for that. I forgot what it's called, but they got, a package for tight ends and stuff like that, like everybody has and all that kind of thing. And I really thought it'd be used close to half the time. And especially last year when they couldn't run the damn ball.
I'd like to know what the percentage was. I think my hunch is that they ran that 12 personnel a little bit more than maybe we think, but they weren't using it as a way to attack defenses. They were using it because the offensive line was so bad, they needed an extra guy in there for max protection.
Yeah, and that's another reason. Not just for the running game, but you're absolutely right. To make sure your quarterback doesn't quit college football because he gets beat up too much. Just saying.
Yep.
Just saying. Okay. The most positive thing that you can think of, Jeff Drummond, about this UK football team before game 1, and the biggest question mark, I'm not going to say fear unless you want to use the word fear. It's sports. I don't know about fear. But anyway, your biggest question mark going into the season is?
Biggest question mark is, will this linebacker group be able to hold up against the quality of competition, especially in the SEC, and be more effective against the run?
You worried about their size and surviving the whole season? Because they're not a bunch of big boys in there.
And the coaches have tried to say, this isn't as big a concern as you're making it. But it's one of those deals where I kind of like the tight ends. I'm going to have to see it before I fully buy in, because that is a lean group of inside backers they've got.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the coaches, but if they say, yeah, I'm not sure if our guys are big enough and strong enough and stuff like that, you implant such a negative thing that you're screwed before the first game starts. No.
Probably so. and they've got 2 veteran guys inside there who can make up for it with some savvy. I think if they're tough enough to hold up physically and not miss action.
Last one. Appreciate your time. No, I get 2 things. We want to talk about you being funny the other day, and I was going to say that to the end. I don't like this new thing Kentucky put together in basketball with the foul pole and the nickel state. And I get you can't bring in, North Carolina and Duke to play a round robin financially. It can't be done. I get that. You get that. We've done this for a long time. It's been my pet peeve forever. And you're wearing the EKU hat. Keep the money in state. Play EKU. Call Murray, even though they've never, ever, ever played. Say, look, you're not getting a return game. Murray wanting a return game whenever they stop wanting it is just it makes no freaking sense. Not at all. Financially speaking, they have to be smart enough to know, even back then when they wanted the return game, otherwise they weren't going to play, which was snobbish. Okay? Kentucky can't do that. And that's not Kentucky being a snob. It's paying bills. But you got Kentucky and Moorhead and Northern and Murray. Why not keep it in the money in state? I really don't understand it. And I got to tell you, suppose none of these schools had opening in their schedules. I don't believe that, by the way. Guessing they could buy out probably some of these games for $10,000. They're getting so much more for what? They're getting so much more for coming to Kentucky. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. And I know it's sacrilegious to say anything negative about Pope, and it might not have been his doing, but he has to sign off it. I don't understand it.
It would be so much fun if this became like an annual event where the state schools kind of rotated, and you had 3 one year and then a different 3 the next year. And I think that would get people kind of excited. And you've got a lot of alumni in the area for those teams that come in, and get excited. They still like UK and they're at the UK game, but they kind of rooting for the other team too to do well. It's a no lose situation in my opinion. And I think Mark Pope would probably be okay with it. I'm not sure who or why it's not happening. But I'm with you on that. I'd have the in-state schools come in. This, especially when you're sticking, like this event has the Louisville game stuck in the middle of it, if I'm not mistaken. You play 1 or 2 of these, and then the Louisville game, then you come back and play another one, and nobody seems to know what any of it means.
Breaking news. Chase Burns, who throws 100 miles an hour. And I haven't said this about Burns, but my thing about Green is you don't have to throw 102 miles an hour. Throw 98. You're burning your arm out. You have injuries in other parts of your body. It puts too much strain on his groin. I will always believe that. He's got a grade 1 right flexor strain. He's on the 15-day disabled list. Trags, who's done our show, he's really, really good. Retroactive to August 12th. These guys throw the ball too hard. And I got to tell you, this, a right flexor strain can often, maybe not lead to something, but it can often lead to something else with surgery. I'm not suggesting it. I don't know it. I'm not saying it's going to happen. But we have seen, when you hear the word flexor, that's a dirty word for potentially a pitcher.
Yeah, that's a concern, and it could be a big blow because they were kind of expected to maybe take a look at him kind of on the back end in the bullpen during this stretch run, trying to make the playoffs. And they've thrown those bullpen guys so many innings. I thought it was a really good idea.
Yeah, pitch him in the
Hunter Green
6th.
is back.
Yeah, pitch him in the 6th and 7th inning. There's 2 innings, smoke away, help your bullpen, which is overthink. The funny thing I wanted to do, we'll do another time. Anything else about UK football you're concerned about, or anything you love? And thank you for your time, and give yourself a great plug.
Well, I gave you the concern. The thing I feel really good about after being around this group is how together they seem and how you hear about nothing but business. It's a very business-like mentality that's over there right now. And we'll see how that holds up after you get some adversity in the season. You get smacked around sometime. But I love everything I'm hearing about the course correction with the culture in that locker room and on the practice field.
And you can change it in a year. And I think he has done it. Now the question is, will it be good enough? Hey, Jeff, you adjusted your schedule for me. You've been a dear friend. I appreciate you. I enjoy you. And the ribbing I was going to do, if I remember, when you grace us next time, we'll get into that.
Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that. I just started to say Jimmy cut his mic off before he says that.
TJ Watt's coming for you, Burrow. He's coming.
Get off my phone. Hey, Jeffrey, thank you. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you soon.
All right, you too, buddy.
That was really good. He sneaks that in, doesn't he?
He does.
He does. He's a diehard. Hey, don't forget about the Quantrill Auto Group. They have a great deal this month for Subaru. The Outback, as you know. And if you don't, check it out for yourself. Outback is special. So how about this? 0%. That's right. 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, it's 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months for a brand new Outback Subaru. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks. Coming up, Terry Mills. I haven't talked to him in decades. I'm really looking forward to it. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrill.
72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1392.5. WLXG Lexington. And LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
I've said this so many times. The beauty of the show for me is getting to rekindle relationships with people that I really like and haven't talked to in a really long time. And I maybe, Terry, you remember Terry Mills, father of Cam, kind enough to join us. Do you have any idea the last time we even talked to each other?
Alan, I'm sure it's been over 10 to 20 years ago. Believe it or not, it's been 20 years. It's a lot longer than 20 years since Cameron played.
I think it's more than 20, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it is. And I realize that the only reason you're calling and talking to me is because of Cameron, so I understand that.
No. That's not. There's a yes and no to it. I'll come clean.
I know you weren't doing sports back when I played, so that's okay.
No, Tom Leach said it was your birthday, and I had you on a long master list of someday reaching out to you. Would you do my show? And I had a spot, okay. And I was going to go, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday. Hey, Jimmy, you're supposed to be helping me singing now. Oh, he's out of the room conveniently because he knew I was going to sing happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Terry. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, that's not bad. You know, I have a sister-in-law that every year she'll call me and sing happy birthday to me. And she did early this morning.
That's not bad. My brother's birthday is today, too, so it's a beautiful day.
Oh, really? Well, okay, great. Congratulations.
So, okay, as a senior, and I knew part of this, but honestly, I had to look it up. You shot 50% from the field as a senior, 76% from the line, and you played in 22 games and averaged over 10 points a game for Rupp as a senior. You had a really, really nice career, and obviously Cameron can shoot because of you. Well,
I could take credit for that, but he earned his shooting a touch, and so I won't take credit for that. Back in my day, 3-pointers were not even thought about.
Sure.
And so when he started playing in high school, everything 3-pointer was the deal, and we always felt like a shooter could be used at a lot of different colleges.
You know, I was really trying to start trouble because I know Cameron is listening, so I was hoping you would take credit so Cameron would be grumbling.
Well, I'm afraid my whole family is listening because I got a text a while ago that he notified everybody in my family. And so I'm sure they're listening to find out what I say wrong. And I'll hear about that later this afternoon.
Hey, that's part of the fun of it, isn't it?
Right.
So two things I'm very curious about. And one you told me, actually both you told me a long time ago. You played against Pete Maravich. You were known for being a very good defensive player. And you once told me a story. Maravich averaged 44 points a game over his entire career and with no 3-point shot. And I don't remember the game I believe you said it was at Memorial Coliseum, and that you thought you did a really good job on Pete, and Coach Dame Rupp was chomping at you at the half. Would you retell that story?
Well, I mean, Coach Rupp didn't make too many compliments at all. And I do remember I did guard Pete Maravich several times, but I didn't guard him for the whole game. So when he scored 60 or 65, he didn't score that many just against me. The other people tried to guard him too. But he was pretty difficult to guard. He got to shoot a lot of free throws, took probably 40 shots or more every game. I don't recall what his shooting percentage was, but I don't think his shooting percentage was that great. But again, shooting 40, 45 shots a game and shooting maybe 10 or more free throws, you're going to score a lot of points.
That's true. And I bet some of his teammates didn't like it because they knew they were never going to get the ball unless he made a spectacular pass. They weren't getting to shoot much. But did Rupp ever chomp at you at the half and you thought you were doing a really good job, or do I not remember that?
Be honest with you, I don't remember that.
Okay.
I don't remember a whole lot of compliments that he gave out to anyone. Be honest with you, except maybe Issel and Pratt and maybe Casey when Casey was playing. But I really enjoyed my time there, and I would do it again if I had to. It's meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to Cameron, and actually it meant a lot to our whole family that we got to play there, and that's kind of what people remember.
Tell me the story about the Dallas Cowboys contacting you about playing wide receiver.
Well, I remember that, and probably my older brother, kept all kinds of stuff that I'd received from different people, and he's probably still got it in the file. And I do remember getting a letter from the Cowboys asking me to maybe come and try out, or to a free agent time. They asked me to try out, and maybe I think I had a little bit of speed and I could jump a little bit, and I think they contacted me about the possibility of playing a defensive back. But at the time, I had never played football, even high school, didn't play football. So, and I guess I was ready to give sports up at that time. So I didn't really pay much attention to it, and didn't contact them to do that tryout. But I do recall that, and probably still got a letter, or my brother does, where they tried to contact me.
And that's pretty cool. Back then, they would contact athletes that they liked that weren't football players, and that Bob Hayes ended up being in the Hall of Fame. That's what they. I'm sorry, I thought I remembered they contacted you to play wide receiver. So that's my bad.
I be honest with you, I don't remember. It could have been, but I just turned 77 today, so I just don't remember.
God bless you.
The late 60s. I don't remember what happened in the late 60s and early 70s.
My
mind is still good.
I'm sorry for stepping on you there. You had some great players around you. The Issels and Pratt and Casey, and I've had former players tell me that they will always believe, you never know, had Casey not gotten into that car accident, that maybe you guys would have won another national championship.
Well, I think that's true. That was unfortunate that he got in that accident that summer. Actually, it was the end of the one summer before we started back to school. And I think that's true. We would probably won that year. As you said, those are great players. A lot of people, when they ask me when I played, I don't give them the year. I just said, do you remember Dan Issel, Mike Pratt, Mike Casey? That's what I usually say. And, of course, oh, yeah, we remember that.
And you were a wonderful role player in that team, and you're being very, very modest. You got a funny Rupp story or something you remember about Rupp that just sticks with you after all these years?
Well, I got one story that I'll never forget. I don't know if it was really funny at the time. Probably not funny now, but I guess it was maybe my regular sophomore year. I had a good preseason. I was going to start that year, and I sprained my ankle, and I had to sit out that year. Well, the following year, I had another good preseason practice, and again, I did start a lot first that year. And then during practice one time, I tore some ligaments in my ankle. And I I didn't say much about it. Through Coach Rupp with the trainer, I just missed practice for a couple of days, and I taped it up and tried to continue playing. And then one time I had the flu. I think I had to sit out because of the flu. And then we came back. When I came back, we were going to play North Carolina. The guy's last name was Thompson, and so we played them at Memorial Coliseum. And I think they beat us. And then after that game, I did start and played a lot during that game. But then the next day, I was in bed with the flu for 2 or 3 more days. And when I finally came back, I met Coach Rupp in the halls of Memorial Coliseum, going out on the floor one day from the dressing room. And this was the day after I came back after that game when we were defeated. He said, that's about all he said to me. And he called me, a lot of times he didn't call me by my name. He would call me by the city I was from, like Barberville. So when he saw me in the hall that time, he said, Mills, the USOB, you cost us that game. And what else what was I going to say?
You can't.
I just
you can't say anything.
I just nodded my head and kept on walking, went out to practice.
Did he know you were sick, and did he know you had a bad ankle?
Well, I don't. He may have or he may not. But the only person that may have known would be our trainer, because I obviously told him and saw him when I came back to take my ankle up and all that stuff. But anyway, he's a great man, a great coach, so you couldn't say much to him.
I got you. Well, 77. God bless you. Thank you for going down memory lane, shooting 50%, and you and your wife and the good Lord giving us Cameron, because he's a special person. Your whole family is. Appreciate your time. And you know what? I'm going to write in my calendar, Lord willing, I'm doing this next year, that I want to sing happy birthday to you next year at this time.
Okay, I appreciate that. I hope I do have a few more birthdays.
Me too. Me too, for both of us. Hey, Terry, I'm no spring chicken now.
Great to hear your voice again, too.
Thank you, Terry. God bless you.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate your call.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Jimmy, what a lovely man and a lovely family.
What a birthday treat.
I can hear him going, Cutler wants to talk to me about what? And think about it. And you've heard me say this on the show, because so many of the old timers told me this. Said Casey Knockgetter, he was a great shooter, And when he came back from his injury, he was never the same. And he would have played pro ball forever. So think about, you at Issel. And some people thought there was a time period Casey was a better player than Issel. Think about that. And Issel is the all-time leading men's scorer. He used to be the all-time leading scorer. Valerie still is the all-time leading scorer at Kentucky. And think about the talent. Issel, one of the greatest of all time. Mike Pratt, tougher than you know what. The late great Mike Pratt, and it was a great team. It was a great. It's interesting, and I've looked at this before, and I'd have to do more research, but I don't know of another team with all the championships that Kentucky won that possibly would have won many more if there weren't injuries. You have Casey, you have Sam Bowie, you have Derek Anderson. I mean, if I go down, there'd be a couple more. Seriously, it's really incredible. Do I think Kentucky would be right there with UCLA? I do, by the way. I do. If there's somebody listening in another state who thinks I'm being a Kentucky homer, I got no problem with that, but I'm not being a homer. Casey was that good. DA was that good. I mean, seriously, was that good? Things happen to every team. I get it. But it sure seems like two teams that I've spent a good deal of my career covering, the Bengals, with injuries. I mean, come on. They had a player with a cocaine problem the night before, the great fullback, right? Wilson. And then Carson Palmer with his ripped knee, right? And then Tim Krumrie, the best defensive lineman, I thought, in the NFL during that time period, breaks his leg. And how everybody would look at the Bengals differently. It's true. It's just the way it is. Take this address down, naturalhealingandpainrelief.com. Naturalhealingandpainrelief.com. life.com. Talking about Terry Page. You can go to the site, and she's got openings for phone calls. She'll give you a free 15-minute call if you want to talk to her about her being a healer, how she can help you as a coach or a massage. I do the massage. She's unbelievable for me. 859-373-0578. First part of the week in Butler, Kentucky. End of the week, she's in Lexington, Kentucky, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's been a blessing I found her. It's been a blessing I found Ramon Carriega. It's just the way it is. And I can't believe that she can't help just about anybody in the world with their pain. And there's certain things that's, you're past being helped. But she's helped people that are, a lot of people think we're past being helped. She is that special. Check her out. Use my name, 859-373-0578, 859-373-0578. Terry Page, Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
It's summertime, and that means it's time to hit the road. Whether you're heading across town or across the state, going on a picnic, to a baseball game, or driving to the lake, stop by, fill up, and stock up at Clark's Pump and Shop, your road trip headquarters.
Clark's Pepper Shop has everything you need to get you to your summertime destination, including assorted Jolly Ranger or Twizzler peg bags, 2 for $5, and Jack Link's 2-ounce steak strip or extra large beef and cheese, 2 for $6.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Thank you so much, and Terry Mills. Thank you so much for Jeff Drummond. Really good. I really enjoyed hearing Terry's voice. I have such respect for that family. By the way, I don't know anybody out there who I don't like how SportsCenter has changed. I want to see more highlights and stuff like that. They do so much stuff that to me is superfluous. I guess I'm old school, whatever. So I still watch SportsCenter, but not with the vivaciousness I used to. And I don't like their 50 and 50. They're doing 50 states and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of stuff that does nothing for me. And the other thing I find is they don't do an hour. They kind of do 20 minutes or a half hour, and they start repeating stuff again. So it doesn't take that long to watch them. So I watch them, but the good old days were better. Anyway, so I'm watching last night, and Jimmy, I freak out. And I don't know if you saw it, and I bet you don't watch SportsCenter like I used to, and you probably don't need to the way they are now. But they started, their opening play was of a Lexington legend. Now, how does that not count your attention? They opened. The first thing they did, they have a center fielder named Zane Washington. And he goes up over the fence to make a catch. And then they showed a catch the game before. We made another very similar catch. They opened SportsCenter with Zane Washington. I'm going, wow. So I contacted a couple of people with the Legends about trying to get Zane on today. Contacted 8:30 this morning. Still haven't heard back. So I'm trying to get them more publicity when there's something that's good. Haven't heard back, but anyway, come on. How cool is that? And by the way, Jimmy, it ended up being the number 5 play in their top 10 plays.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that the day before it was play number 4, and the catch last night to me was a better catch. I mean, they were both almost identical in the same exact part of the ballpark. But I thought the play last night was a little bit better than the first one. But I mean, still 2 days in a row though.
Yeah, actually, you know what I did? I actually rewound it because I thought the same thing as you. And Jimmy, he did jump a little higher on the second one. But I turned it on, and it was early this morning. You were probably working out. I turned it on early this morning. It was kind of like, and the Lexington Legend. Wow! I mean, you just kind of pop up. So anyway, if we can get Zane Washington on the show, I'd love to have him on the show. What a thrill! What a thrill! I mean, that was a big time major league play.
I mean, to get just for the Legends, and I mean, this being such a big season for them to have Dylan Rock earlier this year tie the streak for most home runs in consecutive games, be on SportsCenter top 10 2 days in a row. Like, that's the stuff that we here in Lexington have been waiting for the Legends.
Absolutely. And by the way, we had Dylan Rock on the air, and you remember what a really nice guy he is.
Yeah.
And so we'd like to get Zane Washington on the air if we can do it. Well, I'll squeeze him in tomorrow. I was going to squeeze him in today or Monday. So we're efforting that. And Jimmy, I'll be true confessions. Did you know who Zane Washington was?
No, I did not.
Ask me if I knew.
Did you?
No. That's being honest. But wow, what a play. What a play. What a play. Let me throw this out there before we go do a couple more Pope comments. Did you see what happened to Olivia Dunn?
I don't believe so.
This is kind of ridiculous. So, you never know what anybody makes, right? And being the superstar that she is, I mean, it's pretty obvious, it's out there that she has made millions and millions and millions of dollars, as a model, and also obviously with what she's done as a gymnast. So she tried to buy a co-op unit in New York City and was going to pay for it in cash. And it just happened to be the unit that a long time ago on 88th Street that Babe Ruth had, was going to play cash. Jimmy, can I repeat cash? The co-op board turned her down.
Interesting.
And apparently, according to this article, this co-op board has turned down a lot of people. Mariah Carey, Calvin Klein, Richard Nixon. And they have a theory in the article that they really don't want famous people around. They don't want the attention. Cash. The other thing, too, is, do you find it interesting that she's made that much money that she can buy on 88th Street an apartment for cash?
Not surprising. Very impressive.
They didn't say what it was. I guarantee you it's well into 7 figures. Jimmy, guarantee you. How many into 7 figures? I do not know. I mean, I don't know the exact building they're talking about, but I know where it is. And I want to play some more of this Pope thing, but this kind of got to me. Did you see and I saw the footage of Joe Burrow from a couple days ago. A fan came up to him, and he sees that there's a camera on him, and he refused to sign an autograph for a young kid. Did you see that?
No, but there's been videos in the past. I think it was a couple years ago. I only saw it because it was with Deebo Samuel and the Niners, where they wouldn't, because it was a fan camp or something, and they were not allowed to sign autographs at certain times because they have designated areas for autographs. And that video went around making him look bad, and then they had to come out and basically say, no, he's not physically able to. They will be reprimanded if they sign these autographs.
And I know what you're talking about. This was not it. He was on the streets of Cincinnati and about to go into a very nice car where he has a driver. And the kids were coming up to him, and he's smart, and he knows that a camera's on him. Is that nuts? Because I always see him as a really good dude, and Why would you not? Why would you not? I want to throw this out there. It's a headline in AP. Appeals court agrees NFL can be put on trial over claims black coaches face discriminations. And the picture they're using is Brian Flores, former head coach who'd like to be a head coach again. He's a very, very good defensive coordinator. I really thought by now he would get another opportunity. He is not. Jimmy, you know this being an NFL guy. The NFL have lots of lawyers who make well into seven figures, and they will do everything they can within their power to keep it out of court. The fact that it's gone this far, I find it's very interesting. Don't you?
Yeah, and that's what I wonder what could be or what will be the outcome of this.
Have no idea. But
who would be winning and what would winning look like this?
No clue. I mean, I have the same questions as you do. And I've looked at a couple stories, and I'm trying to get more of a sense as to how it got this far. But the fact that it got this far is fascinating. The other thing is Pat Riley, 80 years old. Jimmy, I hope I look, well, I wish I looked that good at 40. Who are we kidding? The Hall of Famer Pat Riley, one of the great Kentucky basketball players. This is no coincidence with the battles the Celtics and the Lakers have had forever. And of course, during Riley's time as a coach there, they're going to have a statue of the Hall of Famer, and they're going to unveil it on February 22nd. Guess who they're playing? There's only one guess. It was obvious to everybody who follows basketball. They're playing the Celtics. I thought that was great. I really thought of all teams to play, you're playing the Celtics. The Celtics. The Celtics. Special. Hey, don't forget about Blue Lola's Health. 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Acupuncture, now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Acupuncture. Ramon has helped me tremendously. Blue Lola's Health on Versailles Road, not that far from the radio station. Check them out. Use my name. Ramon has helped me tremendously. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313. Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrell family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hey, I'm Dale Wise. I've just recently retired. I know that the electronics, if you don't keep up with it, it can get away from you and get real confusing. Republic Bank's app, I use their app, and it is so easy to use. I log in with my fingerprint, so it's super easy. I don't have to remember 50 million different passwords and all that stuff. And it lays it out just real nice.
That's Dale's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC. Data rates may apply.
It's summertime, and that means it's time to hit the road. Whether you're heading across town or across the state, going on a picnic, to a baseball game, or driving to the lake, stop by, fill up, and stock up at Clark's Pump and Shop, your road trip headquarters.
Clark's Beverage Shop has everything you need to get you to your summertime destination, including assorted Jolly Rancher or Twizzler peg bags, 2 for $5, and Jacqueline's 2-ounce steak strip or extra large beef and cheese, 2 for $6.
Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcast podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. And I recommend this highly if you want to spend, I think it was an hour and 10. I need to relook it up. But the Matt Norlinger podcast with Mark Pope, we've played a bunch of comments from it. I think we have time for probably one more. I recommend it highly. We've sprinkled it in throughout the show today. And instead of playing the JQ bite, I'm going to paraphrase it quickly, even though I did during the monologue, that he wouldn't give a date as to when JQ is going to play. It is going to be this year. It's not going to be right away. And he's going through now a 3-week period where they have him lifting heavy, which will be a really good test to see where he is at. And I don't expect Pope to give any particular date. And let's say he's going to play on a Friday and there's a press conference on Wednesday, then you'll hear it. And probably because he'll be asked all the time when he gets back on the court and is doing on-court things with his teammates, which he's obviously not doing yet, that's when you'll get a taste and tease of it. And I don't blame Pope for keeping close to the vest. I would if I was him. So that's the headline of that. I really want to get this soundbite in because I thought it was really good. Pope is too tough on himself. He really is. God bless him, and I appreciate it. I think he gave himself a B, if I remember right, in the comment we played early on for the season last year, and I disagree with him. I thought he did much better putting that roster together and how far they went and if they were healthy. And I'm not trying to kiss his you-know-what. I just disagree with him. Totally disagree with him, actually. Not giving him an A+, but I'd give him an A for what happened last year. If you have a good shoulder and a good wrist and a foot that's not broken, that's 3 players that have been totally different. And that should never be overlooked. I want to jump to the soundbite number 11, Jimmy, because I think it's really important. He's too tough on himself. What he's basically saying, he needs to adjust and he needs to do a better job in the transfer portal. He's doing great, but I understand the perfection part of Mark Pope. So, Mark, what is the difference in how you handle the transfer portal this year versus last year?
The one benefit for us is we had been here and won. Right. And so that was the one thing we didn't have coming in the first year. We didn't have any, guys were kind of saying, like, what is Kentucky going to look like? I mean, you just had one of the great all-time coaches in the history of the game, vacate this seat, and you brought in me. Right. Mm-hmm. And so there was that question. I don't think we had to deal with that question at all this year. Everybody had seen us play and seeing what our guys did. But in terms of the madness and the mayhem and the 24/7 nonstop, I'll tell you the hardest thing, actually the worst thing was playing in the NCAA tournament while the portal was open. That I probably mismanaged that last year, in all honesty, because what happens is you have to, like, the game demands that you go down 2 roads as fast as you can, and I didn't do that well enough this year, and that's something that we've talked in great detail about how we're going to remedy next year. But it was all the chaos that we love in portal season.
I think that's really good. And you know what he's saying? Can I use this word, Jimmy? Is this going to be blasphemy? You know what Pope is doing?
I think I know.
Tweak.
Yeah.
Were you thinking the same word, dude?
I was, yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, I was. I know it's the 4-letter word that we heard for so many years.
Isn't it funny? It's 5 letters, but to a lot of people around here.
Yeah.
Jimmy, no, it really is a 4-letter word. Actually, I'm glad you said that. I wish I said it. You beat me to it. But his self-introspection is just, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unequivocally off the chart. Was there one thing you heard from Pope today that really stuck out? The Jalen Lowe thing, shooting almost 42% in the workouts and that kind of stuff, and how we didn't play the Collier soundbite. Yeah, we did. How Collier is unbelievable. How he competes in everything and how he's in much better shape, which you would expect. But the thing about the fact that he's improved his handle to get spacing, and that's a huge thing. When I'm asked by a father, I've gotten some things about, what should I do with my son as a young player? I said, learn how to dribble before shooting. Dribble before shooting. Learn how to shoot tuning, but everybody thinks about shooting, because if you can dribble the ball when you're 5, 6, 7 years old and you're really good, you can get spacing to areas to get a wide open shot. I think dribbling is underrated. Guys learn to dribble much better today than they did when I was a kid. It's not even close. It's so much, 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 much better. And I can see Chandler's improvement tremendously. I know we're out of time, but was there something from all those sound bites that really stuck out for you, Jimmy?
I like the Chandler stuff. I also like Trent Noah. Just the fact that Mark Pope is comfortable enough and knows Trent Noah enough that he can say last year was a disaster.
Yeah.
Not many coaches could describe that, and the player won't take it the wrong way. Just him describing it and seeing Trent Noah's, arc up high, up and to the right, I think it's going to be very fun this year.
That was my next one. So I thought that was great. And in fact, you're right. They're so comfortable in their own skin that he was a disaster. And now he's a leader. In 1 year, the growth of people. Jimmy, as always, thank you so much. I appreciate you, dude. More than I tell you. Brad Taylor coming up next. Matthew and Jimmy at 10. I'll be back at noon. Count your blessings. I appreciate you all listening. I hope you know I do this because I have a lot of fun, and I appreciate you listening and telling a friend. The podcast of the show will be up in a couple of minutes. Check it out anywhere you get podcasts, and you can listen live anywhere in the world live on the ESPN